There's a version of automotive customization that aims to improve a vehicle, sharpen its dynamics, refine its interior, give it a slightly more purposeful appearance. Then there's what Mansory does. The German tuner operates in a different category entirely, one where restraint is treated less as a virtue and more as a failure of imagination. The Azura, their latest interpretation of the Mercedes-AMG G-Class, makes that philosophy impossible to misunderstand. Start with what they've done to the basic structure. The fixed roof is gone, replaced by a fabric convertible top that immediately changes everything about the G-Class's proportions and personality. That alone would represent a significant conversion project for most coach builders. Mansory then added rear-hinged suicide doors, widened the body substantially, fitted enlarged fender flares, modified the front fascia, reworked the rear, and covered large portions of the exterior in forged carbon fiber. The resulting vehicle shares a silhouette with the G-Wagon. The upright windshield, squared body lines, and high stance remain recognizable, but essentially nothing else survived the transformation untouched. The color combination chosen for the Azura is turquoise and white, which is either exactly right or completely wrong depending on your tolerance for conspicuousness. It evokes yacht interiors, tropical resort architecture, and the kind of vehicles that appear in the backgrounds of Instagram posts from Monaco or Mykonos. That association is almost certainly deliberate. Mansory has a precise understanding of who buys its products and what those buyers want to communicate about themselves, and the Azura's palette speaks directly to that audience. The turquoise runs across the widened body panels and custom bumpers, contrasted against white paint and accented throughout by carbon fiber components that add visual texture while reinforcing the performance credentials of the build. The front end has been redesigned from the factory configuration into something considerably more theatrical. Massive air intakes, sculpted vents, integrated LED lighting, carbon accents, and illuminated grille details with turquoise highlights transform what Mercedes-Benz originally intended as an imposing but coherent face into something that reads as a showpiece first and a functional vehicle second. The hood gains additional venting and contouring. Every surface has been touched, and the cumulative effect is unmistakable. This is not a G-Class that somebody has lightly personalized. It's a G-Class that has been rebuilt around a completely different set of priorities. Along the sides, the scale of the body modifications becomes clearer. The widened arches extend outward dramatically to accommodate enormous custom wheels, finished in tones that echo the exterior paint. Thin profile performance tires sit beneath those arches, which tells you everything you need to know about the Azura's relationship with the G-Class's original off-road purpose. Side skirts, carbon mirror caps, illuminated trim pieces, and decorative vents continue the maximalist approach across every visible surface. The suicide doors deserve specific mention because they add genuine drama to something as ordinary as getting in and out of the vehicle. On the Azura, even boarding becomes a performance. At the rear, the modifications continue through a heavily revised bumper, diffuser-style elements, a unique lighting arrangement, and quad exhaust outlets integrated into the lower section. The spare wheel carrier mounted on the tailgate, one of the G-Class's most recognizable visual signatures, remains, but it has naturally been repainted and detailed to match the overall build. Mansory doesn't leave anything alone. The widened rear stance gives the whole back end a concept car quality that's difficult to achieve without either starting from scratch or making exactly the kind of structural commitments this build clearly involved. The interior is where the yacht comparison stops being metaphorical and starts feeling almost literal. White leather covers most surfaces. Turquoise accents appear across the seats, dashboard, center console, steering wheel, and door panels. And the combined effect when the roof is folded away and sunlight hits everything simultaneously is genuinely striking. Diamond quilting patterns cover significant portions of the seating and trim. Embroidered logos appear in expected and unexpected places. Contrast stitching runs throughout. Carbon fiber inserts compete with polished metallic details for attention, and the steering wheel receives Mansory's signature redesign, with carbon sections and sculpted grips finished in turquoise. The factory digital displays and infotainment systems from the modern G-Class remain integrated into the dashboard, which is a sensible decision. The Mercedes technology underneath is excellent, and there's no reason to replace functional sophistication with custom alternatives of lesser capability. The passenger space remains generous because the G-Class platform's upright architecture doesn't shrink when you remove the roof. What changes is the atmosphere entirely. Driving with the top down in something this visually overwhelming, in white and turquoise leather with carbon and metal catching the light, is an experience calibrated for specific settings. Coastal roads, warm evenings, locations where being seen is part of the point. Nobody is taking the Azura up a mountain track or across a field. The practical off-road capability that Mercedes-Benz spent decades engineering into the G-Wagon is not what this vehicle is for, and Mansory hasn't pretended otherwise. Performance modifications accompany the visual transformation, because Mansory consistently applies both. Detailed specifications for the Azura haven't been fully released, but the tuner's track record with G-Class projects makes the general direction clear. Mansory builds have regularly exceeded 800 horsepower from the twin-turbocharged V8 found in high-performance G-Class variants, achieved through revised engine management software, upgraded turbochargers, high-performance exhaust systems, and optimized cooling. The Azura's flagship positioning within the Mansory range makes substantial power figures essentially guaranteed rather than merely probable. Suspension calibration has also likely been revised to accommodate the larger wheels and modified body structure, with lowered ride height and performance-oriented damping contributing to the aggressive stance visible throughout the promotional material. The transformation that the Azura represents is genuinely extreme when you consider the original vehicle's history. Mercedes-Benz developed the G-Wagon from military utility vehicle roots, something built for durability, simplicity, and capability in difficult terrain. Over decades, it evolved into a luxury icon, a status symbol that celebrities and collectors adopted partly because of and partly despite its utilitarian origins. The G-Class's success as a luxury product was always somewhat paradoxical, built on the contrast between its tough heritage and the increasingly expensive, increasingly comfortable reality of modern versions. Mansory essentially completes that evolution by removing the remaining contradictions. The Azura isn't trying to balance toughness with luxury. It has simply abandoned the toughness entirely and taken the luxury as far as it will go. This approach reflects something real about the ultra-luxury customization market and the buyers who sustain it. At a certain level of wealth, standing out within exclusive circles requires effort that money alone doesn't guarantee. A standard G63 AMG is expensive and recognizable, but it's also relatively common in the environments where seriously wealthy people spend their time. A Mansory Azura in turquoise and white with suicide doors is not common anywhere. The exclusivity isn't just about the price, it's about the specificity, the commitment to a particular aesthetic vision executed without compromise or apology. Mansory understands this dynamic clearly and has built a business model around it. Public reaction to Mansory's work has always been divided, and the Azura won't change that pattern. Enthusiasts who value the craftsmanship and engineering complexity involved in a build like this can look at the Azura and recognize genuine skill, substantial investment, and a coherent, if extreme, design language executed consistently across every surface. Others look at the same vehicle and see an exercise in excess that strips a capable machine of its integrity for the sake of attention. Both readings are defensible. What's harder to argue with is the effect. The Azura commands attention in a way that few vehicles outside of dedicated show cars achieve, and it does so on public roads rather than on a static display platform. The G-Class has proven to be one of the most accommodating canvases in the customization world. Mansory alone has produced widebody kits, pickup conversions, armored variants, six-wheel configurations, and coupe-style interpretations of the platform over the years. Each iteration tests how far the original design can be pushed while remaining identifiable, and the answer consistently turns out to be further than you'd expect. The boxy silhouette and upright proportions are robust enough to survive radical modifications without losing their reference point, which is exactly what a tuner needs when building something as extreme as the Azura. The convertible conversion is probably the single most transformative decision in the build. Removing a fixed roof from any vehicle changes its structural dynamics, its visual proportions, and its fundamental character. On the G-Class, it also removes the last element connecting the Azura to its utilitarian origins. What remains is something defined almost entirely by luxury, visibility, and the kind of self-assurance required to drive a turquoise and white, open-top SUV with suicide doors through the streets of wherever you happen to be. For the buyers Mansory is targeting, that self-assurance is generally not in short supply.